Welcome back to the Writing Center's Craft Talks. My name is Sahar Vora, and I am the associate editor of the Writing Center's blog, The Right Attitude. We are very fortunate to be joined today by consultant by day, novelist by night, Mahbod Seraji, the author of the critically acclaimed novel, Rooftops of Tehran, which I have here. Some of you SJSU students might already be familiar with this book as it's required reading for a couple of the English 1A courses on campus. So Mahbod, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk with you and to talk to our listeners and viewers.
Absolutely. So my first question does actually have to do with the book. So Rooftops has a basis in the story of your own life. So can you tell us a little bit about how you go about doing research when you're brainstorming, outlining, and writing this kind of story?
Sure, of course. To be honest, I don't do much outlining. Writing is more of a free-flowing kind of an experience for me. In fact, a lot of times, I end up writing a book that I wasn't intending to write. I try to go this way, but go in different directions. I do outline afterwards to just make sure that everything flows well. And I don't do a lot of brainstorming. I don't usually share the early versions of what I'm writing, except with people I really trust and whose opinion I really respect and want to get some input on. Now, however, later on, I do share it because I think in the beginning, not everything is baked and you need to perfect it. So that's why I don't do it. Now, I do a lot of research. I'll give you an example. I'm writing something now where one of the characters is actually bipolar. And so I have been reading as much as I can, talking to people who've experienced it, reading other books about it, talking to doctors about it. I think it's absolutely necessary to get those kinds of things right. And I did a lot of research on Rooftops, given that it happens really in the 1970s, and I had to get the timing right. It's hard work. It slows you down, and it's not always fun, but it's necessary.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think people forget that there's a lot that goes into the back end of a book that you don't see when you're reading it. But I mean, I'm well acquainted with the research black holes that you're bound to fall into during the process.
Right.
So I heard you say that you're working on some other work, and it is also helpful to hear that, you were able to sort of return from a creative writing hiatus to work on the long-awaited sequel to Rooftops of Tehran, which I am personally super excited for. I love this book. So can you talk a little about that and how long it took you to ease yourself back into writing and how you went about doing it?
Sure. Well, as you said, I have a kind of a thriving consulting firm, and thank God. And I really enjoy consulting. I do management consulting. I work with executives of both startup and established companies. And unfortunately, sometimes my day starts at 6 a.m. because I have clients in the East Coast, and it goes all the way till 7 and 8. And part of the reason that break has been there in terms of writing is because it's really difficult to spend 12, 13 hours focused on business type issues and then try to switch to writing. But it isn't that I had taken time off completely from writing, because I think writing is like anything else. It's like playing an instrument. If even the best musicians, if they don't practice, their skills kind of go away. And so I have been writing on and off, but I struggled for a long time. I wanted to write this sequel, but I struggled to find the right voice. It couldn't be the Pasha voice, the voice of a 17-year-old, because he's now here. And I wanted to perfect that. And I had many false starts. But I think to me, that's what writing is about. Writing is not about writing. Writing is about rewriting. Writing is about trying it as many times as you can to get it right. I think somebody said that Ernest Hemingway, who is one of my idols, I really love the way he writes, had like 90 some different endings to A Farewell to Arms. So it's, how you started is really by finding the right voice, by knowing what you want to say, by saying it, re-saying it, re-looking at it, re-editing it, all of those things. For me, that process is really important. At the same time, I think you have to enjoy writing. Writing is a very, very lonely type of a business. To just give you an example, I like writing at nights, and I start at 5 or 6 at night or 7 at night. I look up and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You have to have a tremendous passion for not feeling the time pass like that. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, that's a great answer. I think there's a feeling, I think, that, a lot of people are saying that, either I write or either I do my day job. And that's clearly not the case, as you just explained. So, do you have any advice for people who are kind of in that situation, who have a story, but maybe feel like they don't have time?
Find the time. I mean, seriously, there's no magic to it. If you have a passion for writing, you just have to find the time to do it. I've gotten into the habit of taking notes. If I'm struck by an idea, if something comes to my mind, if I think of a great sentence for a situation, if I see something that I really like, I take notes. I always have, these days iPhones and things like that around, and I use notebook applications, and I take notes. So that's definitely something that keeps me engaged, keeps me thinking about things. The other thing is reading. I'm surprised to how little people read these days. I think things like these computers, iPhone, iPads, places like Google, where your attention span is very short, and you could quickly look at things and read things and learn a lot. What do they say, that a person today comes across more information in one day than somebody in 1800s did all their life? We've gotten used to that kind of consumption of information and news and small pieces of information that goes contrary to reading the whole novel or a book. So I think one of my recommendations is absolutely keep up with reading. When you're going to bed, you find the time to, if you're on the bus or on the train or wherever you're going, just keep reading. It helps a lot.
That is great advice, and not something you hear very often, actually. I think it's why I miss my DC commute most of all. I could just read on the bus. So our next question, we kind of touched on your consulting business. So you are a man of many talents. You not only do you have this critically acclaimed book with the sequel in the works, but you, as you've mentioned, work as a management consultant as your day job. So how do you balance those two things, which we talked about a little bit, but mostly how does one influence the other, if it does? What skills have you developed, either writing or in your consultant job, that have helped each other and, helped you develop as a writer?
That's an absolutely great question. And I do think they impact each other. First of all, the fact that you come across different types of people, you meet different types of characters, you pick up ideas from just your simple interactions with people that work with different kinds of people. When you talk to people and learn about their dreams, their passions, their hobbies, they're all subject or all content for things you could be writing, hopefully not revealing their character, their person, who they are, but at the same time, they can be a great source of inspiration for you in terms of a great source of creativity and ideas for you to incorporate those people in, or a version of those people, or your version of those people into your writing. I've also picked up a really bad habit, which is I often find myself editing other people's like emails or presentations. Writing is, I think in any sort of a art is like that. I'm sure musicians sort of notice bad notes, and I immediately recognize bad sentences or bad writing, or a person's inability to convey and communicate in the way that they intend. So I don't think that's a good habit. I wish I didn't have it, collecting other people's work. But it is something that I think about, and it is something that impacts the way I do work. But the other thing is, when you're writing, you're creating this world. You're creating these people with whom you spend quite a bit of your time with, right? You learn how things move, how stories move. And I think in the world of consulting, especially for me, things have to move, go through a certain path for me to get to where I want. And having that patience, what I'm trying to say is that what writing has done has taught me the kind of patience I didn't have before. That it takes time to get there. It takes time to get to the end. You can't just start here and go to the end. And that patience has been very important in the kind of work that I do to get things right.
Yeah, I mean, especially I'm assuming with consulting, it's very much a lot about communication, right? Both written and spoken. So having patience, I think, when you're dealing with people on the other end of it must be extremely important.
Exactly.
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
Exactly.
And lastly, we like to round out our interviews, with just on the advice portion of it. So do you have advice for students who kind of struggle to balance their writing with everything else that's going on in their lives? What would you have to say to them?
I would say that life will never be different than that, whether they're a student or anything else. There is always distractions. There's always other things to do. There's always football games to watch, basketball games to watch. There's always great movies to watch. There's always time we want to spend on the phone with people. The point is that if you truly have a passion for writing also has to occupy a time slot. It has to have a place in your daily routines, in your daily interactions, in your goals. When I do seriously write, whether it's an article or a book, I set goals for myself. I'm going to write 3 hours. I'm going to write 4 hours, although I'll always break that and go way beyond that. But I do set those daily goals for myself. I do block weekends to do that. It has to become a part of your life. It can't be something that you just do on leisure. You have to be serious about writing a book, or the book won't get done. And the other advice, this is really, really important, is that you'll never get it right on the first try. You'll never get it right on the second try. You have to keep trying. You have to look at it. You have to look at every word, every sentence, every paragraph. You have to look at every comma, every punctuation. You have to read it out loud to see if it flows. You have to look at your sequencing of the plots, of the content, of just that level of diligence and paying attention is really important. Sometimes people send their stuff to me and say, hey, what do you think about this? And I just can read the first few pages and realize that that kind of attention and that kind of dedication has not gone into this work. The idea might be great, but that level of attention and diligence is missing. And you can't remember if you're writing something, your name would be on it for the rest of your life, for the rest of eternity, even after we're gone, right? So you want to do the best you can. And I think that's the advice I give to people. Be serious about it and understand that this needs to be a huge part of your life.
Thank you. I think that is advice that students can take with them when they're writing those hated research papers, as much as if it's a passion project. It has to get done. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the work, but it will pay off, I think, if you spend it there. Absolutely.
And research often is not as much fun as creative writing, but it's important work. It has, I always think about it this way, it has my name on it. So it has to be something I believe in. I don't care if other people don't like it. I have to like it. And that's important to remember.
That is a great motivation tip. And I'm gonna tell students that when they come by to see me in tutoring, it's gonna have your name on it. So it better be good. All right. Well, thank you so much again, Mahbod, for sitting with us and sharing your insights, not only about writing, but about the real world, which is something I think students and even seasoned writers tend to separate. We're so grateful for your words of advice and encouragement. And just really, really waiting on that sequel for this excellent, beautiful book.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. And if anyone is interested in finding out more about the book, feel free to visit Mahbod's website, rooftopsoftehran.com, for updates, more information about the book and the author, and all of the wonderful things to come in the future. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.